Horrow, Sloan MIT Analytics Conference, and it gets bigger every year. And it's noisy during lunch because there are hundreds of thousands of aspiring students that want her job. That's exactly what it is. These are demographics that I have no idea about, but we're going to even delve into something even more significant. It's $1 trillion business, and I know mainstream sports, but I'll be the first to admit, Christina Alejandre, I have no knowledge of esports. So these next 15 minutes are a wild ride. Thank you. Thank you for.
Well, hold on. Here we go.
Hold on. Here we go. First of all, you are uniquely qualified. By the way, she is the general manager of E-League and vice president of E-League of
esports for Turner Sports.
Yes. So obviously, the connection between television and the E-League not only is important, it is joined at the hip,
yes,
correct?
It is joined at the hip. It's part of the Turner Sports DNA. E-League was formed in a joint venture with our partners WME IMG, but on the production side, Turner Sports is driving that.
So here's the thing that qualifies, obviously, Christina as an expert in the field. Led business development for 38 studios in Octopi. Any company that's named Octopi, you know it's a young demographic company. Licensing and product development for Nickelodeon and Viacom.
Yeah.
So you take all of the knowledge of graphics, entertainment, kids, and you put it to use in a really unique sport. So tell us about it.
Yeah, I definitely have. I'm a little bit of a unicorn in the esports space in that I have spent my entire career in the video game industry. So whether it is on the licensing side and product development side, whether it's on the business development side, publishing, and then esports, I have combined the two into this amazing job and opportunity. And I'm very well aware that the college students here are definitely gunning for my job, and it's a fun job to have.
Yeah, but you're entrenched and they're not, so there. So unicorn in a unicorn space, which is quite an interesting dynamic here when we think about it. Talk quickly about, dispel the argument the cynics use that this is not sports.
Look, you have people competing at a very, very high level, and while it is not a traditional stick and ball sports, like, make no mistake, like, these players and people have been basically dedicating their lives to compete. They practice, 40 hours a week, and it is deliberate practice. It's not just them playing video games. They're watching replays of other teams and what they're doing. They're developing new strategies. They're in-game leaders, much like there are in stick and ball sports. They have coaches, and they are competing at a very, very high level. I would look at the phenomenon of esports. David Levy, he's the president of Turner.
Sure.
Little known guy.
Yeah, little known.
But he was telling me the story about his son, Jake, was in his room and he was watching video games on his computer. He was watching people play video games.
How old?
And Jake was probably around the time, he's probably like 16 or 17 at the time.
Okay.
And so he was like, why are you watching that? Like, why are you, like, and Jake explained it really, really well. And I used this example. He said, Dad, like, you're a big hockey fan, right? And David said, yeah. And he goes, okay, so do you go to the games? Yeah. Do you watch it on TV? Yeah. Why do you do it? Well, I really like hockey, and I like seeing people compete at this elite level and seeing their technique and what they do. And Jake said, that's exactly why I watch esports. Yeah. And I think, for people to kind of translate that was a really great way of explaining it.
So all the business plans and all of the other analysis is fine, but the Turner family got sold into the deal right then, basically.
I mean, the Turner family got sold into the deal. TBS was going through a whole rebranding exercise, really trying to hit that 18 to 34-year-old demographic. And, esports was something that really resonated within that demo. So it seemed like the perfect fit, and we just needed to kind of find the right partner around that, and we have entered into a really great partnership with WME IMG, and that's how we were born.
So now we have situations where entities are actually creating esports stadiums. We have one in Vegas now and other places. Did we ever know when David Levy got the epiphany from his son in that room that it would ever get this big?
I don't know. When I took the job, they had already made up their minds that they were doing E-League, and I was definitely cautiously optimistic. I was a little bit worried that that I would come in and they would kind of treat it as this little like side project or fun project that Turner Sports were doing. And what we found was or what I found was that Turner Sports treated it like any other sport under their verticals. You know, we have the NBA, we have NCAA, and they treated E-League with the same care and respect that they do any of the other sports franchises that we work on. We had Emmy Award-winning producers, Emmy Award-winning directors. We have on the WME IMG side even, you know, we have like the president of business affairs intimately involved in what we're doing day to day. And so it was really treated like any other sport, and I think that you can see that. So when they made the decision to go into esports, they definitely went all in.
Where's the competitive side going? More teams, more leagues, more cities being represented? What's it look like in 5 years?
You know, I think that we will see a little bit more regulation in the space as it relates to teams and players. Right now, it's a very volatile market. You see a lot of teams switching randomly. They even have a phrase for it. They call it roster apocalypse. So right now,
Stick and ball sports have roster apocalypse, but for different reasons.
But for different reasons. But this is, I mean, you'll see after a major event, you'll see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams like swapping rosters completely or dropping people, and there's no real kind of rhyme or reason, because sometimes it will happen mid kind of season or mid competition, and so we'll see a little bit more, not regulation, but uniformity, I think, in the space, and as it grows and becomes a little less nascent. Sponsorship,
obviously, it's a no-brainer to say it appeals to the young demographic, but major sponsors feel like this is something they should ride in the future?
Yeah, absolutely, and we at E-League have had a lot of success with bringing in a lot of non-endemic sponsors to the space, having sponsors like Arby's come in and really creating content that appeals directly to that esports kind of core community. And this is a very engaged community, and what you'll find is for a non-endemic sponsor, if you embrace that competitive community, they'll embrace you right back. And we've seen a lot of success with those partners.
So, long-term economics, obviously the television component and the sponsors came together at the same time, but how do you ensure the success of the league? Long-term commitment on the TV side, but what other parts do you need to make sure get buttoned up in the future?
For us, we're not just TV. We are primarily one of Turner Sports' first digital native sports, and so we know that people are going to watch on their own terms, whether they're going to watch sitting at their computer or sit at their couch and watching on TBS. So, for us, it's really important to be as platform agnostic as possible as it grows, and give the same viewing experience that somebody would find on digital as they would on linear, finding clever ways to integrate sponsorships and partnerships, and that's how we're really working to ensure the long-term success, because as technology evolves, as the way people watch evolve, we want to basically be on the forefront of that.
So as media gets turned on its face and people don't care about television sets anymore, and live television seems to be the real key reality show, this is one of the first leagues that's been created during this whole transformative period. What's so special about the timing that made this easier to create?
I mean, I think it is, esports was kind of hitting this apex that, and people were becoming more familiar with the term esports. I mean, even though you yourself admitted don't know a lot about esports, you've at least heard the word esports, right? And I think that TBS really came in at a really great time, because they're really able to broaden that awareness and provide people a comfortable way to kind of absorb esports and know about esports. And E-League, I think, has done a phenomenal job with the content that they're creating to make esports more accessible to a mainstream audience.
We'll come back to the business in a minute, but what is the trait that makes a really good all-star esport player? Does he have to be nimble? Is it carpal tunnel-less? Is it up there? What's the deal?
I think it's both. There's definitely, in any sport, there's definitely an instinct that players have. And then there's also just there is a little bit of physicality in your hand-eye coordination and reflexes. There's a way to be able to break down and analyze the game. So it's a little bit of here, it's a little bit with the hand-eye coordination. And then also it's kind of a drive to constantly, as it is with any sport, to constantly practice and constantly get better and constantly find ways to improve.
So what are the biggest challenges that you now face in the next couple of years?
I think that one of the biggest challenges, which isn't something that we can't overcome because we're learning to do it, is you're seeing, especially in a native digital space, you're seeing ad blockers come in, and it's harder to monetize this community that's coming in, because generally, even in television or in digital, you're seeing people come in that run pre-rolls and mid-rolls, and that's how they make their money, by running these commercials. But with ad blockers, people don't see those, so you have to find ways to integrate different brands and content in order to help monetize that audience.
So I'll take one of those challenges and then take it to the next step, which is common to the digital transformation age. Do we have confidence that Madison Avenue is going to be smart enough to get out ahead and figure out how to monetize and recommend to their clients that they should monetize it?
I mean, you're already seeing it. You're seeing a bunch of VCs entering the space. You're seeing a bunch of high-level sports brands entering the space. I think right now we're at the point where people kind of need to get over a little bit of the FOMO that they're having, because they're hearing about esports, or they're just throwing money in and investing. And I think they need to kind of take a step back, and they need to look at what strategically makes sense for their company, why they should invest, and then also finding the right people to leverage whatever asset they're investing in or buying.
And obviously, this is an area that is so evolving. Does it ever, do you think there's ever a time where the stick and ball sports, baseball, for example, just announced a deal with Game of Thrones, and I guess one of the issues is, do we have a time where the mainstream stick and ball sports, A, respect you, and B, look at you as a partner?
I think they already do. You're seeing huge investment by the NBA into esports, right? NBA just announced their league that they're doing for esports. You have NBA teams that are investing into esports organizations. You have football teams, meaning or soccer. You have soccer teams abroad investing into esports. So I think you're really starting to see that happening right now.
Finally, Boston Area Conference, International Conference, Boston Area Conference, Boston television distribution as well. So what do we tell the esports fans in New England?
It's wicked good, and they should definitely pay attention to esports.
So, Christina Alejandre,